Okay, good. Monday, April 7th, 2025, Dalton City Council meeting. The quorum is present. Mr. Lama, will you lead us in the pledge? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Council members, you have before you an agenda. At this time, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
A motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Do we have any public commentary this evening? See no one coming forward. We will move on to staff presentations.
There are none this evening, Madam Mayor.
Okay. So this evening we have a proclamation for Donate Life Month, the month of April. And I do not believe we have anyone from LifeLink that's available tonight, but I will go ahead and read the proclamation. We do have someone, or? Okay.
Mayor, it's on the screen of that one.
Screen. Okay, sorry about that. I'll just scroll here a second. All right. All right, in recognition of Donate Life Month, April 2025, whereas one of the most meaningful gifts that a human being can bestow upon another is the gift of life, and whereas more than 100,000 men, women, and children await life-saving or life-enhancing organ transplant, of which nearly 3,000 reside in Georgia, and whereas more than 2.5 million people throughout the country and in Georgia benefit annually from tissue transplantation, thanks to thousands of tissue donors, and whereas the need for organ, eye, and tissue donation remains critical as a new patient is added to the national waiting list for an organ transplant every 8 minutes. And whereas the critical donor shortage remains a public health crisis as an average of 16 people die daily due to lack of available organs, and whereas more than 3.8 million Georgians have already registered their decision to give the gift of life at donatelifegeorgia.org. And whereas LifeLink of Georgia is the nonprofit organization dedicated to the recovery of organs and tissue for transplantation therapy in Georgia with a vision to honor donors and save lives through organ and tissue donation. Now, therefore, be it resolved, I, Anna Lee Sams, Mayor of the City of Dalton, Georgia, hereby proclaim the month of April 2025 as Donate Life Month in Dalton and encourage all residents to sign up on Georgia's organ and tissue donor registry. All right, thank you. And council members, under the minutes of the meeting of March 17th, 2025, you've had an opportunity to review these. I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, under new business, we'll have the first reading. So we have 2 of these first reading on zonings tonight. The first one is Ordinance 25-10, the request of Scott Cunningham to rezone from transitional residential R6 to neighborhood commercial C1, a tract of land totaling 0.57 acres located at 112 North Spencer Street, parcel 12-219-24-016. Ethan?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. The rezoning before us is fairly straightforward. What we have is a property that was originally developed for commercial use quite a few decades ago that has been vacant now for quite some time. The petitioner is proposing to change the zoning from a transitional residential zoning that it currently occupies to a neighborhood commercial C1 zoning. And in transitional residential, of course, that would allow a couple of different types of residential use up to a quadplex. And of course, in order to use this property for any type of commercial use, it will need to be rezoned because it does not have an existing non-conforming established use. So for this to be used for commercial use, this rezoning would need to be approved. And based on the limitations in the neighborhood commercial zone district, the existing zoning in this area, and the previous and original development of the property, staff saw no issues with the proposed rezoning, again, based on the neighborhood commercial zone district. The staff recommendation was to approve. We heard no opposition at the public hearing, and the Planning Commission gave a recommendation, unanimous recommendation for approval at the Planning Commission meeting. And I would be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions or comments of Ethan? Okay, thank you. Item number 5, this is also a first reading, so no action taken tonight. Ordinance 25-11, the request of Adriana Lopez Molina to annex 0.17 acres located at 1304 Fraser Drive into the city of Dalton as medium-density, single-family residential R3 parcel 12-179-02-065.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And again, we have, this is something I think we're all familiar with, this particular area and neighborhood being an unincorporated county island surrounded by the Dalton's incorporated boundary. And so because of their request to annex 100% of the property owners requesting this annexation, they didn't have to be present for the public hearing. Of course, we heard no opposition. This would not affect zoning because of the city and county's unified zoning ordinance. This would simply bring the subject property into Dalton's incorporated boundaries and help reduce this county island. So recommendation was both from staff and Planning Commission favorable. It was unanimously recommended by the Planning Commission, and again, no opposition. Be happy to answer any questions.
All right, any questions or comments of Ethan? Other parcels in this area, we've had acceptable letters of, with no objection. I wouldn't necessarily classify it as letters of support, but no objection from police and fire department and public works. Does that remain applicable to these? Okay. That would be my only question. Any other questions, comments of Ethan?
Madam Mayor, I had this thought when I was looking back at the packet. The city owns a couple of these unincorporated that you see on the screen, the parcels in white. And so the city may want to also consider annexing its own property. That way it further reduces the unincorporated island.
And
so-
those are more recently
Correct.
acquired. Okay. All right. Thank you, Ethan.
Thank you.
All right, item number 6, the agreement for sale and purchase of real estate for permanent stormwater drainage easement for material handling at 631 North Glenwood Avenue. Chad?
Good evening. This agenda request is relative to the North Glenwood Avenue Stormwater Bypass Project. As discussed in several Finance Committee meetings, we're requesting the execution of a storm drainage easement located at 631 North Glenwood Avenue, which is the place of business for Materials Handling Incorporated. The total cost of the easement is for $123,500, which is approximately $76,500 less than the presented budget amount. This has been reviewed by the city attorney and has been approved by the Public Works Committee as well.
All right.
With that, I'll take any questions.
Questions or comments of Chad on this one?
Move we approve.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Item number 7, declaration of taking an order on plans or property at 622 North Elm Street for the Glenwood Avenue Stormwater Improvement Project.
Madam Mayor, city attorney will
Okay.
handle this one.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a part of the same project Mr. Townsend just spoke about, the Glenwood Stormwater Improvement Project. This is a property near the one that he just spoke of. It is 622 North Elm Street. Ms. Brooks has been attempting to acquire or to negotiate with the owner for quite some time to acquire this property by negotiation. Unfortunately, we've not been able to do that. This is a property that is necessary, and it is, I would mention, it's just an easement that we would be acquiring pursuant to the declaration of taking. This easement is over what is currently a stormwater drain that's there now, and we would be replacing that. The city has looked into alternatives. Alternative routing is not something that can be done from an engineering perspective, and so this is something that needs to be acquired. The price, as appraised, is $16,600, and so we would ask for approval to move forward with condemnation.
Madam Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Is it my understanding that there is presently an existing line underneath this proposed easement?
That is correct. This easement would go right over that existing line, and that line would be replaced.
And the reason we don't have some kind of implied easement over that is because we can't find any documentation that the city actually put the line in, and it was done when, decades ago.
We have looked, and this was done a very long time ago. We don't have evidence that the city has maintained that easement at any time.
And the existing line's been in use for decades and decades.
It has.
And yeah, I think that's all the questions.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on this item?
I move that we approve this taking and
Yeah.
do whatever legally we need to do to take the property.
I have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Item number 8, Arcadis Task Order number 13, Moist Drive Drainage Evaluation.
Thank you. We're requesting approval of Arcadis Task Order number 13, which is to perform a drainage evaluation along Moist Drive area near the previously constructed Covey Ridge Detention Pond. There are some structural flooding issues in the area that we'd like to evaluate a resolution for. The total cost of the engineering services is $19,475 and will be paid for out of the 2020 SPLOST project account. This has been reviewed and approved by both the city attorney as well as the Public Works Committee.
Any questions or comments of Chad on this item? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So move. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thanks. Item number 9, Imperial Landscapes Contract for Prater Alley Detention Pond Facility.
Yes, this request is to approve the mowing and landscaping maintenance contract with Imperial Landscapes for the newly constructed detention facility coined as the Prater Alley Detention Facility, which sits immediately adjacent here to City Hall. The total cost is $330 per month and is set to expire at the end of fiscal year 2025. And this will be paid for out of the Public Works General Fund. This has been reviewed and approved by the Public Works Committee as well.
Any questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So move. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, item number 10, Imperial Landscapes Contract for Huntington Road Detention Pond Facility.
Again, this will be the same landscape and maintenance for the 133 Huntington Road Detention Facility. The only difference on this one will be the cost. This one is $299.92 per month, and this will expire at the end of 2025 as well.
All right, any comments, questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, item number 11, Trammell Street and Clark Street intersection traffic control change request.
This request is to convert the existing two-way stop located at the Trammell Street and Clark Street intersection into an all-way stop. The reason for the traffic control change is to mitigate the sight distance constraints that will be introduced by the proposed on-street parking adjacent to the newly constructed community garden. This request is necessary to meet current AASHTO and MUTCD standards for allowable intersection sight distance for Clark Street with the eastbound traffic entering the intersection. And this has been reviewed and approved by the Public Works Committee as well.
Any questions or comments?
Can we get, like, when they go up, if it's approved, like some flashing that they
Yes.
know?
Yeah, anytime we, introduce always stops at intersections, we do flashing beacons
Okay.
as well as, advanced warning signs.
And crosswalk will be put in, not as a, but at least striped.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Which is part of the warrant criteria for the always stop as well.
Any further questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Item number 12, First Amendment to City Hall Lease Agreement with Dalton Public Schools.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. As you may know, the existing Dalton Public Schools lease for City Hall third floor office spaces was entered into in 2020. I think it went into effect maybe January 2021. That 5-year lease has now sunset. It sunset in late March. And so we have negotiated a lease extension for Dalton Public Schools, which will be an amendment to the original lease. So all of the original lease provisions will apply. And just as a reminder, currently Dalton Public Schools leases the third floor. They provide a reimbursement to the city for a third of the utility and normal building maintenance expenses. And the final thing is, as part of the lease extension we talked about earlier in the capital improvements program, we are planning to replace a number of windows on the first floor that are damaged. And as part of the consideration for the lease extension, the school system has agreed to contribute $100,000 toward the cost of that project, which we estimate to be a little over $300,000. So about a third of the window repair cost. They're requesting to extend the lease period through June 30th of 2026. So the lease will be extended through the end of next summer. I think their intent is to move out at that point, but obviously if their plans change or whatever, then we will just need to revisit that in the end of next summer. But they didn't want to extend a full 5-year period right now, only through next summer. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Questions or comments? Okay, if not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 13, Resolution 25-03, a resolution in support of local legislation known as House Bill 843 in the Georgia General Assembly for the purpose of providing a local referendum to consider approval of an increase to the homestead exemption of City of Dalton ad valorem taxes for residents 70 years of age and over, and for other purposes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The resolution, as you've described it, Representative Carpenter introduced House Bill 843 in the late part of the session, and this is just to increase the homestead exemption for residents who are 70 years of age or older from, as you might recall, it used to be 150,000 originally when it was created. In 2023, it was increased to 250,000. And then this House Bill 843 proposes to increase it to 325,000. And it calls for a local referendum on the matter that would take place later this year in November, I believe. And so anytime there's local legislation like this, the governor's office typically reaches out and asks for an indication of support from the local taxing authority. And so they did on this as well. They asked for a resolution of support. And so we present that for your consideration this evening.
Any questions or comments on this item? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 14, Resolution 25-04, resolution affirming and ratifying cost of living adjustment for certain pension plan beneficiaries.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. As you know, the city and Dalton Utilities worked with the Pension Commission to evaluate a COLA for pension plan recipient. Cindy is here and worked on that in coordination with Dalton Utilities as well as the actuary. This COLA was implemented through a budget amendment. The funds were set aside. The premise of this is that there would be a 1% compounding COLA for pension plan recipients who retired prior to 2021, with the 1% compounding to occur each year from 2009 to 2020, and that's because there were no COLAs during that period. As you know, the city funded $2 million toward the cost of the COLA, and we'll amortize the balance left on as per the actuarial requirements over a 10-year period. This has already been implemented, but through the budget amendment that was advertised and approved, but the actuarial folks ask us, in accordance with IRS regulations, that the city council should adopt a resolution memorializing exactly the parameters of the COLA, and that's what this resolution does. Be glad to answer any questions, or Cindy or Jonathan can weigh in if I've missed any key points.
All right, any questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Item number 15, fiscal year 2025 budget amendment number 1.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is our first 2025 budget amendment, and it's comprehensive to hit a lot of the funds. Our general fund, we are over our sales tax projection, $106,000, so we're going to go ahead and increase that amount. Our transfer fee, we're over $83,000 from what we budgeted for the first quarter. We do have an insurance reimbursement of $2,500 for a wrecked PD vehicle, and that $2,500 will go into their budget to repair that vehicle. We have other agency, we have a donation of $5,500, which was a PD charity softball tournament in conjunction with Whitfield County, and our proceeds were $5,400, and the police department, we're going to take that in as a donation, and then they're going to turn around and donate it to Grace and Joy Foundation. That was the beneficiary of that softball tournament. Item number 4, we had a site improvement at REC of $5,300 sign for Paul Belk. They did have funds left in a donation for signage at the mill line. So we're only going to have to pull out $2,500 from contingency to cover the shortfall. The infrastructure, the $622,300 that we're putting back in the budget, we had actually allocated that last year for the 902 South Hamilton project, which we didn't get started. So we're just rolling that into this year's budget. The transfer to other grant funds, that $20,000 is for a USDA grant that we have that we only spent like $1,400 last year. So the majority of it is rolling over into this year and will end up in 2026, the grant will end. Transfer to the airport grant fund, $766,000. That's to cover the 3 existing grants that we have. And I went ahead and put in the $125,000 for the funding that we expect to get from, I believe, Mayor Sams, you signed a something for GDOT for us to roll some available funds over. I think it was around $1 million. So I went ahead and included that 125 so that I wouldn't have to come back for a budget amendment. The next fund is CDBG. We're just increasing our revenue $27,000 and our expenditures $27,000 to end up where we were at the end of last year. That's the amount we're going to roll over for remaining grant funds. The next is the the Urban Garden Grant Fund. That's the USDA grant we were talking about. And we do have $94,000 in federal grant revenue. Our match is $20,000. So that's just money in, money out for that, money in, money out for that grant fund. The airport funds, these are the remaining funds. I did not put in the additional grant fund until we actually get it awarded, but our 125 is in there. So as soon as we get the documents from GDOT, I'll go ahead and amend the budget at that point. Capital improvements, we're increasing $10,000 insurance reimbursement for a total loss of a wrecked PD vehicle. We carried over projects. We discussed some of those in the work session beforehand. We're carrying over projects for city admin, 1,632,000, which is mainly the HVAC system, and then some IT projects, 64,000, and then a vehicle for public works. I believe it's a wrecked vehicle for 36,000, and then some PD equipment for 10 to help recoup the cost of that wrecked PD vehicle. Next is the 2015 SPOS fund. I'm just estimating interest earnings, and we're putting it to public works projects because that's all that is remaining in the 2015 SPOS. So 16,000 in, 16,000 out. That is an estimated earning for 6 months. 2020, I did the same thing for our 2020 SPOS. $300,000, that's an estimated interest earnings for 6 months. And then our 2024 SPOS, 6-month estimated interest is $80,000. And for our bonded capital, I did it for 4.5 months because we have a lot of projects we're about to start there. So I did $50,000 for 4.5 months. And once we exceed that, then I'll come back or another amendment. Any questions?
Questions or comments of Cindy? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right. Buyout number 16, Bion Security Professional Services Agreement.
Hi, good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. Before you is a master service agreement and professional service agreement for Bion Securities. Bion Security has been assisting the city of Dalton since 2021 with cybersecurity consulting and assistance in implementing various security solutions. New for 2025, we're planning for them to take over and expand the GIS services. So that's why I'm including a little bit more than the previous years for a total of $80,000. And this will be prorated not to exceed the $80,000. We will be billed monthly for this. Any questions?
Questions or comments on this item? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
In a second, any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Item number 17, updated service agreement between City of Dalton and Flock Group, Inc. Chief?
Thank y'all. You'll see this updated agreement in your packets. This is the updated service agreement between the Dalton Police Department and Flock Group Incorporated. It's for the addition of 3 additional Flock cameras, the license plate reader systems. The total cost for implementing this and adding this to our service agreement is $6,992.46. The funding source on this is the 2020 SPLOST, and the of $69,992.46 is the prorated amount for the remainder of this service year for Flock. And then next year it'll be part of the regular service agreement with the other cameras that are already in the system. If you have any questions about the 3 additional cameras, I'll be happy to answer them for you.
Any questions or comments of Chief Cason? Okay, if not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't believe there's any more supplemental business before this council, but it's been brought to my attention by the city administrator and the assistant city administrator that something pretty special happened on March the 30th, 38 years ago, is when Bernadette Chatham joined our city team. So we just want to take this opportunity to recognize you. And 38 years is significant. And I know that all of our citizens are better served because of your participation and being here. So I just want to recognize you. And again, I wasn't aware of that until they brought it up to me, but we all appreciate you very much. If there is no other business before this council, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
You must. Bernadette, you must